After my retirement, my son's wife told me, "You're just in the way. We're selling your car." She took the keys from my hands and laughed. Good luck walking everywhere. My son looked down, avoiding my gaze. My heart thudded as I said, "You'll see the car again when you find out who it's registered to." I retired at 67 after working over 40 years at a trucking company in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I started there as a dispatcher, worked my way up, and stayed loyal. I never made a ton of money, but I had a pension, some savings, and no debt. My wife passed away 5 years ago. After she was gone, I sold our house and moved into a small apartment. Life was quiet. Not exciting, but it was mine. My son, Aaron, is my only child. We were close after my wife died. He checked in often, came by when he could. He met Bailey around that same time. She worked as an assistant at a dental office. Seemed polite enough at first, but fake. Like everything she said had a script behind it. They got married quick. Too quick. A courthouse thing. No real wedding. I offered to pay for something nicer, but Bailey said she didn't want a big fuss. Later I found out she didn't want me involved, period. After they married, I saw less and less of Aaron. When I did visit, Bailey made it clear I was a guest. It was her tone, her body language. She always smiled too wide, talked too loud, and changed the subject if I tried to have a real conversation with Aaron. When I told them I was retiring, Aaron suggested I come live with them for a while. He said I shouldn't waste money on rent, and I could take my time finding something smaller. I agreed, mostly because I missed having family around. I moved in with them in September. I brought my clothes, a few boxes of tools, and my car. A 2009 Honda Accord, low mileage, clean inside and out. I've always taken care of my stuff. I had no plans to get rid of it. At first, things were fine. But within 2 weeks, I started noticing little comments. Bailey would walk past the guest room and say stuff like, "Feels cramped in here with all this stuff, doesn't it?" Or she'd complain loudly about too many cars in the driveway whenever I came back from errands. Then came the worst one. I'd made a big dinner one night. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, the kind of meal my wife used to make. Bailey didn't eat a bite. She just said, "I hope when I'm old, I won't need people to take care of me every day." That one hit me. I hadn't asked for help. I bought my own groceries. I did my own laundry. I even helped fix their leaky sink when Aaron kept putting it off. One afternoon, I came home from getting blood work done and walked into the kitchen. Bailey stood there, arms crossed, keys in her hand, my keys. "You don't need the car anymore," she said. "You're just in the way, and we're selling it." I stared at her. "What?" She tossed the keys in her palm like it was nothing. "You're retired. You don't work. You don't go anywhere that matters. Aaron, and I need the money. And the space." Aaron walked in behind her. He didn't say a word. Wouldn't look at me. That moment. I can't explain it. It felt like someone turned the floor into water under my feet. Like everything shifted. I had raised this boy. Put him through school. Paid for his braces. I was there when his dog died. I held him after his first breakup. And now, he just stood there while his wife tried to take what was mine. I said, calm as I could, "You'll see the car again when you find out who it's registered to." Bailey blinked. What the hell does that mean? I didn't answer. I just walked out the front door. My knees were aching, but I walked 2 blocks to the grocery store and called a cab from there. I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. Here's the part they didn't know. 3 months before I retired, I had a bad feeling. I don't know why. Maybe I just saw where things were headed. So I went down to the courthouse and set up a single-member LLC. Cost me a couple $100. I called it D&J Logistics Solutions, named after me and my wife, Janie. Then I transferred the title of the car to the LLC. I also installed a GPS tracker in the dashboard. Not one of those basic ones, but a serious one that connects to a cloud account I control. So even if they had the keys, they had no legal right to sell it. The car was no longer registered to me. It belonged to a company. My company. I checked the GPS that night. Still parked out front. The next morning, gone. I tracked it to one of those sketchy cash for car places across town. I knew the kind. I towed cars to those lots back in the day. I borrowed my cousin Doug's truck and drove straight there. Bailey was sitting in a cheap folding chair, chatting with some guy in a dealership polo shirt. I walked straight up to the desk. "That's my car," I said. "And she has no right to sell it." Bailey turned. "You're insane." The dealer looked confused. She said she was the registered owner. I pulled out the paperwork. D&J Logistics Solutions LLC owns the vehicle. I'm the sole member. Her name's not on anything. The guy stepped back. Okay, then this is a no-go. Bailey lost it. You can't do this. You're staying in our house. You owe us. I stared at her. You don't own me. And you sure as hell don't own my car. I got in and drove away. I didn't go back to the house. I went to Doug's. He set me up in his spare room. I didn't say much that night. Just sat on the porch with a coffee, listening to the wind. Over the next few days, Aaron texted me. Why would you do this? You embarrassed Bailey. She's crying. Then finally, we needed that money. Why didn't you just give us the car? I replied once. I worked 40 years for what I have. You stood there while she tried to steal from me. That's all I needed to know. He didn't respond. But Bailey wasn't done. 3 weeks later, I got a letter from her lawyer. Not kidding. She's trying to sue me for emotional distress and fraud. The letter said I deceived her into believing the car was a gift and caused her humiliation and mental anguish. Unreal. But I've got my own plan. I filed a small claims suit of my own. Theft by deception. Civil conversion. I have documentation, GPS logs, transfer papers, the dealership's security footage. They were nice enough to email me a copy, and text messages that prove what she tried to do. This isn't just about a car anymore. This is about someone thinking they could erase decades of work and dignity with one smug smile and a key snatch. I may be old. I may be tired. But I'm not dead. And I'm not done. About a week after I filed the small claim, something weird started happening. First, my mailbox at Doug's got broken into. It's one of those locked mailboxes near the curb, not easy to tamper with. But the front door was bent like someone tried to pry it open. Nothing was taken, but it rattled me. I didn't say anything to Doug, didn't want him worrying. But I did file a police report, just to have it on record. A couple days later, my bank called. Someone had tried to access my online banking 3 times and got locked out. Luckily, the bank flagged it and called me. I hadn't told Bailey or Aaron anything about my accounts. Still, I changed all my passwords and locked everything down. That's when it hit me. They weren't just mad. They were desperate. And desperate people are dangerous. I started digging. I reached out to an old coworker, Dave, who retired last year but still did freelance background work for corporate clients. The kind of guy who knows how to find things legally, but fast. I asked him to look into Bailey and see what he could find. He got back to me 3 days later with a file. Turns out Bailey was in serious debt. Credit cards maxed out. 2 payday loans in her name. And this part made my stomach turn. She had taken out a small business loan last year using Aaron's name as a co-signer. Except there was no business. She blew through the money. She'd also been making payments on a luxury skincare MLM scheme. Thousands of dollars in product she couldn't sell. She wasn't just careless. She was reckless. And she was pulling Aaron down with her. I felt sick for my son. But I also felt something else, something I hadn't let myself feel since this all started. Anger. Deep, simmering anger. She had tried to make me look like a burden. Like I was just taking up space. But she was the one leeching off everyone around her. Pretending it was her house, her life, her plan. And she wasn't done yet. 2 nights later, someone tried to slash my tires. I parked the car in Doug's driveway like always, but the next morning, the front passenger tire was flat and the sidewall was torn. Doug had cameras on the porch. We checked the footage. It was Aaron. At first, I didn't believe it. He was wearing a hoodie, but I knew my own son's walk. The way he hunched when he thought no one was looking. The way he checked his phone every 10 seconds. He slashed my tire and drove off in Bailey's SUV. Doug was furious. You want me to call the cops? I shook my head. Not yet. I wanted to understand what was going on in Aaron's head. I wanted to believe he was still in there somewhere, the boy I raised. The one who used to cry when he stepped on ants by accident. The one who made me Father's Day cards even in high school. I sent him a text. I know what you did to my tire. I saw the footage. Don't throw your life away trying to fix hers. He didn't reply, but he didn't come back either. I figured it was over. I was wrong. The next morning, I got served at Doug's house papers for another lawsuit. This one was different. This one said I unlawfully used surveillance technology to track a family member without consent. Bailey had filed a report claiming that my GPS tracking of the car was an invasion of privacy and emotional abuse. I laughed out loud. Abuse? She stole from me. But now she was painting herself as the victim, and me as some controlling old man with spy devices. Doug looked at me like I had two heads. You gonna let her get away with this? I shook my head. No, I'm done waiting. I went to a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, someone I used to drive for back when I helped out with paralegal deliveries. She remembered me, took the case without blinking, said we could counter her claims and file a restraining order if needed. She also said something else. She's testing you to see how far she can go. Don't flinch. I didn't. We filed a formal response and included everything: video of Aaron slashing my tire, the dealership footage, text messages, bank fraud warnings, and even the background report Dave had pulled. My lawyer said it was solid. Then, as we were reviewing all of it, she noticed something in the loan records Bailey had taken out. One of the payday loans listed a fake employer. Guess who she used? Me. She put my name and the name of my old company as her current employer on a $4,000 loan, probably hoping they wouldn't check. But if they did check, and someone wanted to come after me for fraud, that could land on my credit. On my name. That's when I knew. She wasn't going to stop until she burned every bridge and blamed me for the smoke. This wasn't about a car anymore. This was about taking control of a sinking ship before she dragged me down with it. The lawsuit? That was just her stalling for time. She had bigger plans. And I was finally ready to burn those down, legally, piece by piece. But the next move she made? I never saw it coming. 2 weeks passed. I was staying low, working with my lawyer, gathering more records. Things felt quiet. Too quiet. Then, one Friday afternoon, my cousin Doug came home from work looking pale. He handed me a piece of paper that had been stuck in his front door. It was a notice from Child Protective Services. Someone filed a report claiming Doug was harboring a mentally unstable senior who was threatening family members and had a history of emotional violence. That senior was me. Doug has 2 kids, a 5-year-old daughter and a teenage son. You don't mess around with CPS. They can flip your whole life upside down off just one anonymous report. Doug looked at me, clearly trying to stay calm. Did you say something to someone? Pissed somebody off? I closed my eyes. This is Bailey. He sat down hard. She's coming after my family now? She knows she can't shake me, so she's trying to scare the people around me. Doug didn't say anything for a while. Then he muttered, I want her arrested. We contacted CPS immediately. I met with the caseworker in person, with my lawyer present. I brought every document I had. The woman took one look at the records and asked, has this Bailey person ever been charged with fraud before? Not yet, but that got me thinking. Bailey had filed a fraudulent loan using my name and company. That's a crime. Not just a civil issue, it's identity fraud. And now, she was filing false CPS claims against my cousin to isolate me. She wasn't reckless anymore. She was dangerous. My lawyer contacted a local DA's office. They started looking into the forged payday loan and the fake employer entry. That same week, we subpoenaed the loan application from the lender. The handwriting matched Bailey's signature on previous documents. But the real twist came from Aaron. Out of nowhere, I got a call from him at 11:48 p.m. I stared at the number for a long time before answering. His voice was shaky. Dad, I need to talk to you. I said nothing. I didn't know about the loan. I swear. I didn't know she used her name. Still, I said nothing. I found something in her email. She's been messaging some guy from her gym. They're talking about moving to Nashville. I waited. She's draining my account. She took $6,000 out last month while I was asleep. When I asked her about it, she said she was handling the finances now. But I checked the transfers. It all went to a PayPal account I don't recognize. Then he broke down. I thought she loved me, Dad. I defended her. I let her talk me into cutting you off. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was wrong. I sat back in the chair, my chest tight. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know, I said. That silence between us hung in the air like dead weight. Then I asked, are you ready to tell the truth? He sniffed. About everything. You might not be able to walk it back, I warned him. This won't just blow over. I don't care anymore, he said. She's already planning to leave. She told her friend she's going to file for divorce and try to ruin me financially. I saw the message. That same night, he sent me screenshots. They were rough. Messages from Bailey to a friend. He's too soft. I'm going to take the house, the car, and leave him with nothing. His dad has money. If he dies soon, maybe I'll still get a piece. Once I get my hands on that IRA, I'm gone. That last one made me feel physically ill. She wasn't just using Aaron. She was waiting me out. That's when everything shifted. This wasn't about getting revenge anymore. This was about taking her mask off in front of everyone and making sure she never got the chance to do this to anyone else. And now, with Aaron finally willing to talk, I had the one thing she never thought I'd get back: leverage. After that call with Aaron, I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table until sunrise, going over every message he sent me, every file, every screenshot. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt cold, like all the emotions had burned through me and left nothing but a plan. I met with my lawyer first thing that Monday. We went through everything: the loan fraud, the fake CPS report, the text messages between Bailey and her gym friend, the screenshots about her plan to divorce Aaron and take everything. And now, thanks to Aaron's messages, we had proof she was watching my finances and possibly planning something worse. My lawyer made one call to a contact at the DA's office. An hour later, a case was opened for criminal fraud and identity theft. Meanwhile, Aaron agreed to go on record. He wrote a sworn affidavit admitting he saw Bailey forge documents, access my bank info, and physically take my car keys without consent. He told them everything. Even admitted he slashed my tire and that he'd been manipulated into believing I owed them. He owned up to it. I could see it was eating him alive. He cried when he signed the affidavit. "I was stupid," he said. "I let her make me into someone I'm not." I nodded. "You did. But at least now you're not lying about it." We filed everything and waited. On a Thursday morning 3 weeks later, it happened. Bailey was arrested at her job, right there in front of her co-workers at the dental office, charged with 2 counts of identity fraud, 1 count of submitting false documents, and filing a false CPS report. I got the call while drinking coffee with Doug on the porch. I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I just said, "About time." That same day, a court order froze all joint accounts she had with Aaron. She couldn't touch a dime. The very next week, Aaron filed for divorce. Bailey tried to fight it at first, filed for emergency spousal support, claimed she was being thrown into the street with no warning. But the judge reviewed the evidence and denied it on the spot. In fact, he ordered her to vacate the home within 48 hours, citing financial abuse and fraud. She screamed in the courtroom, "I built that house too. I made him." The judge didn't even look up. "Ma'am, your name isn't on the mortgage or the deed, and your financial records show you've drained your husband's accounts for over a year. You'll leave the property or you'll be escorted out." 2 days later, she was gone. Took a suitcase and her gym bag. Aaron said she left behind a pile of clothes and one of her fake luxury skincare kits. Fitting. The fraud charges stuck. The DA went after her hard once they confirmed the payday loan was fake and my name had been used. I showed them the tracker logs from the car, which backed up my timeline exactly. I even had the text messages she sent Aaron calling me a dumb old man with no fight left. She ended up taking a plea deal. 2 years probation, a fine of $12,000, and mandatory restitution to me for the attempted theft, the forged loan, and the legal fees I had to pay. But here's the best part. The company she worked for fired her the day after her arrest. Not just because of the charges, but because they found out she'd been stealing free samples and reselling them online. She lost everything. The job, the marriage, the house, the reputation. Aaron, to his credit, changed. I could tell the fog had lifted. He moved in with a friend for a few months, then got his own apartment. He paid me back for the tire damage. Paid Doug back too. We talk every week now. He's in therapy, working on himself. Still feels guilty, and honestly, he should. He let it happen. He stood by while I was humiliated. But guilt isn't the worst thing if you use it right. As for me, I used the restitution money to buy a newer car. A simple Toyota Camry. Reliable, nothing flashy. But it's mine. The LLC? I kept it. Even gave it a little website. Started offering courier services for small businesses. Just part-time. Keeps my mind sharp. And Bailey? Last I heard, she's living in a shared apartment with 2 other women from her MLM circle. Still trying to sell skin cream. Still pretending she's a businesswoman. She called Aaron once from a blocked number, sobbing. He hung up. He's done. So am I. This whole thing taught me something I didn't expect. I always thought betrayal would come from strangers or people you barely know. But sometimes it comes from the people you love most, while they smile in your face and call you dad. And revenge? It's not about getting loud. It's not about yelling or fighting. Sometimes the most brutal revenge is letting someone destroy themselves and then handing the world the receipts. Because in the end, she thought I was just a tired old man. But what she didn't know, I spent 40 years cleaning up messes, and I've never left one unfinished.